They planned it like a movie because they loved movies, and in 3 acts. First act was big bombs going off in the cafeteria, and that was the main event for them. 2 big bombs which would kill everyone instantly, about 600 people, hopefully bring the walls, the ceiling crashing down. The school would go up in flames. Act 2 was them standing outside, pre-positioned by their cars in specific locations, ready, geared up, and with semi-automatic weapons to mow down the survivors as they came out of the school. And that was the have fun, is what they put in their day timer. So that was the enjoyable part of it. Then they weren't sure what was going to happen. They expected cops to come in a shootout, so they expected to sort of like die in glory in the act. And then probably after their own death would be Act 3, the sort of coup de grace, which would be their cars were loaded up with massive amounts of more explosives. By this time, hopefully on national television, and while first responders were set up and saving people, that would erupt and tear through the ambulances and people being helped, and would be just the gory, disgusting horror show, and that would be the end of it. Up until now, everything has gone fine. Amazingly fine. But they're at the parking lot. At some point, very quickly, they realize it hasn't worked. The bombs fail. They have to go to Plan B. There is no Plan B.
The shooters then got out of their cars and they walked to the school and they went up to the top of the stairs.
We know then from witness accounts, one of them, probably Eric, yells, "Go, go!" And the shooting starts, all hell breaks loose.
There's no way my high school is being shot up, or that I'm witnessing a gun going off, and trying to justify in my head what I'm seeing as not being a threat. I ran back to the school, and I made it all the way back to the door. I had my hand on the door, and I was pulling it back open to get back into the building, and I'm stepping into the building at this point. My foot's in the door. And as soon as I got to the point where I felt relief from, I knew I was safe at this point, my legs went out, and it felt like I got kicked by a mule in my back. And I laid there, it was immediate, on the ground, couldn't feel my legs. And I remember looking back, trying to move, and my legs are just dangling.
At this point, down in the cafeteria, it's becoming chaotic because kids are beginning to see kids are laying out there. This is not a prank. This isn't a movie. Dave Sanders, a teacher, starts trying to get these kids corralled. And I can't tell you how many kids' lives he saved that day, getting them to go left, run down that hall and out the front of the school and across the street.
A teacher comes running into the library, just screaming, warning us all to get under the tables. Then there's 2 kids with guns.
Has anybody been injured, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the school is in a panic. And I'm in the library. I've got students down under the tables, kids. Kids under the tables. Kids are screaming. Some of the teachers are, trying to take control. We need police here.
Okay.
Dave Sanders starts running towards the shots. The shooters turn the corner and start shooting. That's where Dave Sanders gets shot. And he's able to make it down the hall right in front of the science area where students and another teacher help get him into a science room. At this point, it's almost like the shooters don't know what to do. They had a plan A, and that hasn't worked. everything that they planned didn't happen. Because they spend about a minute and a half in that hallway throwing pipe bombs over the railing and into the cafeteria, which you can see exploding. They're throwing them into the trophy case. They're throwing them down the hall. They're shooting. They're not hitting anybody. Everybody's hiding. They're just, it's like they don't know what to do. And then they go into the library.
And we're all sitting there crouched on our hands and knees, praying for safety, praying to, to get through this. I'll never forget this part. And they come in and they say, "This is for all the bullshit you put us through the past 4 years." And basically, like, as if it's repayment for whatever it is that they went through. I didn't know the shooters. I was a year younger than they were. Never had any classes with them. Never had any reason to know them or be aware of them. And it was from one of the sawed-off shotguns. And I was hit twice in the head and once in the foot. And one of the buckshots went through and traveled through the left side of my brain and immediately paralyzed me on my right side. And the gun kept, shooting up the rest of the library.
Eric and Dylan went from table to table, terrorizing and killing indiscriminately. Many of the tables, they put the nose of their weapon under the table and shot without even knowing who was under there. Each person they came up to, they mocked them for whatever they could come up with. Somebody looked like a jock, they made fun of that. There was a kid with the large ostentatious glasses, and they made fun of that. There was a kid who was fat. They worked with that, whatever material they had. So this went on for 7.5 minutes. And really, Brie Pasquale, Eric spent a lot of time with asking her if she wanted to die, taunting her, going on, and of course she thought she was going to, and then finally said, "Well, everybody's gonna die," and then walked away. He enjoyed making people suffer and having the power of life and death. He could kill people, but he could also let them live.